All right, so SAT, you want to walk us through this one too?
Alright.
Is this with the same spec as the other one?
Yep, that is correct.
Okay, so
This...
because I'm going to be releasing this as a separate video from the other one, and I'll most likely be picking one or the other one to release, based off of what we discussed towards the end. The commander build that you're running is using IFHE, right?
Yep. So the first 10 points are typical for a destroyer: preventive
Mm-hmm.
maintenance, last stand, survivability expert, and concealment expert. But for
Right.
Z-42, I specifically took IFHE, so my HE can pen 32 millimeters of armor.
Which we
There...
discussed last game, can pen battleship bow stern, most battleship bow stern, all? I don't remember. And then 32 millimeter all around for French and British battleships.
Yep. Also very helpful against cruisers.
Mm-hmm.
So Z-42 should take a gun spec, so I also build into the 5% reload boost, the adrenaline rush, and then heavy AP.
Mm-hmm. Because AP is really the bread and butter, right, for the ship?
Oh yeah, the AP does amazing things to broadside ships.
Now, last game you said we didn't cover too much of like hydro pushing destroyers and stuff like that. You said that would be the case in this game, right?
Yep.
Okay. You've got an enemy Z-42 on their team. Otherwise, you are technically middle tier, but there's a lot of 10s anyway. There's 3 9s, 2 supers. Okay.
So my idea was to kind of just push out of this island. I might get lucky against destroyers going into sea, or
Mm-hmm.
some destroyers that may go in front of that island. But that's not the case this time.
Mm-mm.
I like the going wide here. What I don't like is going that close to the island. I guess it works out because it's so early in the game. But coming so close out of the island, if there are torps in the water, that could be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to take the safer approach and either go in front of the island, which is not safe if you get spotted, or go leave a little bit more distance behind the island and go wide right away.
Okay.
Just so you don't block your own spawning lines by the island as much.
I also like using the Holland just to kind of scout for you for a bit there. Too bad he turned south now, but...
Yeah, Holland was doing the spotting, so I didn't have a need to go out and spot as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm curious, why don't you chuck your troops, by the way, into the sea cap? I have always had huge success, like finding a destroyer there with a random torp that's trying to cap.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of throwing it outwards where you know that the C-42 is probably has a hydro running.
I've had the opposite. I basically never torped any destroyer in there. I don't know why.
Interesting.
Well,
I was
regardless... Go ahead.
I was hoping for him to get pinned against the island, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to do much there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to push him because if I can hydra him, he can hydra me back.
Right. And then there's Salem, Repub, Takahashi.
Yep. I want to hang out here for a little bit just in case he decided to go to the 10 line, but I didn't stay here for too long because most destroyers don't do that.
Why the engine boost now?
If I were to run into him, then I need the engine boost so I can start dodging. It's kind of a preemptive measure.
Okay. I'm just curious because, I mean, you could just immediately boost as soon as you run into him as well, right?
I could, but I also need to check my angle because I'm right next to the border, so I don't want to accidentally go bow in and then have nowhere to turn out.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm surprised you didn't hide him, just as a safety measure too.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was sitting outside of the smoke, and we all know smoke is usually what attracts the torps, but yeah, I mean...
Yep,
I mean, you know there were 2 destroyers on this side somewhere, right? Because something was capping the sea cap, so...
If that's the case, he would have been torping from where the Salem was. I would not have worried about that angle.
Okay.
Not necessarily from the position where the Salem was. I could have torped straight up from out of the cap.
Mm-hmm. Win dirty water. Not planning on it today, Duckman. Sorry.
So yeah, now I'm just trying to figure out what my next move is, because the 2 ships I want to farm are going to fly off the map as usual.
Yeah.
And I can't do anything against a duck in Salem.
All stations requesting fire support.
I'm wasting a good. What did you request? The dirty water song?
Maschinenboost deaktiviert.
All right. So SAT, what's going on in your mind at this point? I mean, you tried farming Salem, but whatever.
Alright, so not much is going to happen here, so I'm just going to go run over to C, and then just make my way towards B and A.
Okay.
Just try to get something to happen, because I'm not expecting a push. At least not yet.
From the enemy, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Notice the cyclone timer.
1 minute. And a lot of times when you have cyclones and they come in, people default push.
I can't
So-
see anything. I must push in.
Right. And they often push in one at a time.
Torpedos
Yep.
The
voraus.
push in is also very good here because like the Salem's position here is like he can't shoot actually anything. Like even if you're going to sea, like the Salem
Mhm.
is not gonna punish you for that. Like, and there's one battleship out on the border that's probably not gonna be able to shoot you either. So the enemy position here is quite poor. So you definitely can get into sea and fight those destroyers there rather uncontested.
Mm-hmm.
All stations reporting the position of a strategic target.
Unfortunately, your Annapolis dies.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking there.
He needed intelligence data, so he went and got him with his face.
Mm.
Yeah, probably not the most efficient way of getting intelligence, but
Mm-hmm.
eh.
Has SAT only played the Z-42? I'm sure he's played other ships too. Oh,
There's other ships besides Z-42?
Torpedos
nice use of Hydro coming around the corner. I like that.
Shimakaze,
Go ahead.
classic Shima, smoking when he's under hydro or radar.
Now, unfortunately, you couldn't really pursue like you wanted to. There's Salem there.
Yep. I still don't know if he has radar or not, so I'm
Mhm.
gonna assume he does.
Right, that's a smart thing to do. Caught spread, best spread. That's assuming the Shimakaze turns back around.
Torpedos auf Steuerbord. Nebelwerfer gestartet.
Now, this ship you don't care about so much if you get detected because, as you can see, you can just kind of slow down and smoke, right?
Yep. There's only a small opening, so I can just burn one smoke here. Now this is the fun part.
You are smoking out in radar range of the Salem now, though.
I don't think he intends to sit in it, though. He just wanted to break contact, right?
Yep. It's one of the good things about Z-42. You have so many smokes, you can burn 1 or 2 for... you don't have to use them all to farm.
Mm-hmm. And as we talked about in the last replay, it might be of value to drop IFAG in favor of SI, Superintendent. But that's up to the player. Sinful! What's up, Sinful? Thanks for the raid, dude. How you doing, man?
Man, I wish I was in a lucky position like this. Whenever I have a target I can farm.
Yeah.
Spreading it for me.
Sinful_1 rated my stream
So,
with 5
Takahashi's gonna beach broadside. Your smoke is not available for another 4 seconds. Now, could you switch to AP here?
Yes.
I could.
I would. I would not even be considering it.
Okay.
I was too focused on just trying to dodge, so I ended up not switching to AP. But yeah,
Okay.
looking back, if I had the chance, I would have switched to AP right there. And in fact,
Mhm.
I do after this.
Okay.
Swap that direction too. Like the
Mhm.
Takahashi's stuck there.
He is, but I think that Z-42 is a bigger threat at this point.
Yeah, but you're not gonna torp the Z-42.
No, but I think he's stuck making a decision. Do I torp the Takashi's last known, or do I do guns on the ship that I know I can do guns on, you know?
Like, there's a lot happening, so I try to focus on the most important threats. In
That's
this
what I
case,
mean, right?
like, yeah, I just don't get a chance to fire torpedoes because of that.
And you could now, but now it's probably too late. By the time your torps go, he's already backed off and turned and moved on. Most likely. Ah, okay. So because the lion is there, you can now use your AP, farm, and smoke.
Yep, I just don't want any unwanted HE here, because Takahashi turrets turn like crazy.
3 times as fast as your own.
Yep.
God's reason.
We may suck at everything else, but we can dang well turn our turrets.
Damn right. Nice.
Gegnerischer Kreuzer zerstört.
And your Holland torps are gonna come in and say hello. Takahashi does kill the lion, though, which is unfortunate.
I probably could have jumped directly into C, but I didn't know if there were Holland or Takahashi. But I didn't want to take the chance there.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Seabear, you're good on tickets. There you go with that anti-air off until you're detected. It's a really good strategy.
Yeah, I really wanted to get into C, but this carrier was not very compliant.
Well, you also have the Jean Bart there, so you want to work with him, obviously, for anti-air, but also for taking out anything that might be chasing him or you, whatever, so.
Nebelwerfer gestartet.
This is, by the way, the classic case again of the enemy field throwing. I just want to point this out. There is absolutely zero reason for this enemy Republic to be going where he's going.
Alright,
no.
Sinful, no problem. Take care. Thanks for the raid again. Good to see you, dude.
I may or may not have told them that if they charge towards people, they might get some compensation.
Oh, so you taunted them.
Now, he's so close. Couldn't you be using AP into the superstructure at that close range? Like,
You can even do that at
Live.
long range, which is personally why I wouldn't be speccing the IFHE. You can always shoot the AP in the center superstructure.
Yeah, but
Let's not forget the one thing about this ship. The AP DPM is twice as high as the HE.
It is, but he was. I didn't think he was predictable enough, and since I know I can pen everywhere on his ship, I just stick with the HE. It's just more reliable.
okay.
The AP has poor crop. It doesn't matter when you shoot superstructure.
Well, and that's why I was asking, because he's so close. Like, you can ensure that your shells aren't going to hit, like, the turrets, for example. You know, the only thing you could hit that might bounce it would be, like, the conning tower.
Does not. You will always pen 19 millimeters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no chance you shatter on 19 millimeters.
No, when I say the conning tower, I'm talking about that little reinforced part that's on almost every battleship, you know.
Wir haben einen gegnerischen Zerstörer versenkt.
Whatever it's called.
The bridge.
Is it the bridge, or is it... I don't know.
Yeah, it's the bridge.
I thought it was the CIC or whatever.
Conning tower, bridge, same thing.
So, is this a Kraken game? It's looking like it. Here's a great example of those destroyers pushing into your Hydro. And you're gonna get a double strike in addition to a crack in here.
How much did you pay them for this? Like, seriously.
Life savings.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, it makes perfect sense that they're gonna do that, right? They're going after the Jean Bart.
They had like 600, like 800 points to 200 and were on 3 caps in a Cyclone. And instead of just keeping their cap and winning, they pushed into the enemy team and all died one by one by one.
Because that's the default push when you've got the win already done in your mind, right? The default is I'm just going to push. So that's what they did. Have you ever hear of aiming system modification 0? Yes, actually, Dark. There's a couple. It's a specific mod for the tier 4 Yubari, but it also can be equipped on a couple of other ships. Most notably the Iwaki Alpha. It has extremely tight dispersion for those particular ships that can carry it. Is it also on the Katori? I knew there was one other one, I just couldn't remember which one. Jean Bart finally dies because your Jean Bart does what we were just talking about. Just default pushes.
That one he needed to go push.
He did.
And unfortunately he didn't have any health, so that was very unfortunate. So go look at the time.
345. The only chance you've got really is killing their carrier.
Yep.
And
So
Nakimov hasn't been spotted in a long time. Your carrier's trying to find him based
Yep,
on last known
and
heading.
that is correct. So to cover the basics of objectives, each cap here will give you 36 points over 1 minute. If you have 3 caps, you can gain 108 per minute, but it takes 1 minute to take each cap. We are behind 300 points. So, in other words, we don't have enough time. We need a kill.
And your Holland actually just noped out of the cap for some odd reason. I don't know why.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You don't win by getting this cap.
No.
But he noped out in the wrong direction. I think he just...
Right. And when you were
Yeah,
talking earlier, we saw the attack aircraft coming up, so we knew where the Nakimov was. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't think that... funny enough, I think the kill on the John Bart is what ended it. Because the Holland just... he didn't dodge correctly, but I don't know if that would have made a difference.
No. The other thing, too, I think the Holland probably wasn't close enough to the Jean Bart to provide anti-air support.
It's a Nakamov. He
That is
half
true.
Ignores, yeah, he kind of half ignores if you have AA.
That is true.
I think what
If-
also was bad is your CV after you killed the 2 destroyers. Your CV should have turned around sooner to minimize flight times. I'm honestly surprised because like right now 2 minutes, it feels like the hack should have enough time to kill.
I don't. If he was a better hawk, maybe. If we had the jump Bart, then he could have kept him spotted for a bit longer. Then jump Bart could have shot him at max range. Probably get like 2 levels off at most.
The other thing is with the Holland derping out of the cap, you saw what happened. He went back to the cap and sat and got it instead of... Had he gotten the cap, he could have just hit W, turned, and went south. He would be a full grid square closer to the Nakimov.
Yep. Although
And that-
Nakamov does outrun him.
I
True.
don't think that he can shoot the Nakimov though. He's not gonna do much, even if he's closer.
I didn't look, and we can't see you in the render because the render's not working because it's patched and all that, but I'm curious to know, when the Holland was moving towards A cap, if he knew where the bombers were coming from, where the planes were coming from as they were striking the Jean Bart, if you would have gone instinctively towards those planes, you know, the direction they were coming from, instead of going to A
Probably
cap.
not. If they knew the hack wouldn't have searched in the north either. But yeah,
Well,
seeing
the
that
hack
the
might have been
hack wants
focused
the AP dive bombers now tells me everything I need to know.
All stations
the hack could have been focused on the destroyers and not paying attention to the planes. I mean, that's what we were doing, right?
That's my guess too. The Hawk crew, I can understand to be on the 10 line because he doesn't know where the destroyers were. So he's running off the map.
I mean, yeah, it's fine that he's running, but I think he turned back too late. Like, the moment the destroyers are dead, he needed to turn. And I don't think he did that.
More importantly, yeah, he should have had he should have had fighters overhead to protect the John Bart. But
Yes.
unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Doesn't matter against the Nakimov.
If you can put it farther away, you might be able to convince him to turn around, take a bit longer, or maybe even
Right.
get him into Holland AA. If
Mhm.
the longer the John Bart lives, the more shots he can get. And if John Bart got 2 salvos while Nakamov was broadside, the game could have been decided differently.
Could have also gotten the heal up sooner too, or gotten another heal going. You know.
Yep.
Okay. So, between both replays, SAT, which one would you say is the better one overall for this ship? I'm thinking this one.
Yeah, Z-42 specializes in killing destroyers, which is unusual for a German destroyer.